YMCA, U.S. Army spread development. YMCA had a major role in spreading basketball throughout the United States, Canada, and the world. In 1893, Mel Rideout arranged the first European match in Paris, in Montmartre. At the same time, Bob Gailey went to Tianjin, China, Duncan Patton to India, Genzaburo Ishikawa to Japan, and C. Harik to Persia. The First World War broke out in 1914, and the U.S. Army started fighting in Europe in 1917. During World War I, the American Expeditionary Force took basketball wherever it went. Together with the troops, there were hundreds of physical education teachers who knew basketball. Naismith also spent 2 years with YMCA in France in that period. The first professional league was founded in 1898. 6 teams took part in the National Basketball League, and the first champions were the Trenton Nationals, followed by the New York Wanderers, the Bristol Piledrivers, and the Camden Electrics. The league was abandoned in 1904. Then, many small championships were organized, but most of them were not as important as some teams who played for money against challengers. The original Celtics, for instance, are considered the fathers of basketball and were presented as world's basketball champions. The players had to sign a contract to play with them, and Jim Fury organized matches as a circus, moving daily from town to town. The Celtics became the strongest team, and their successes lasted from 1922 until 1928, when the team disbanded due to ownership problems. The original Celtics are sometimes incorrectly thought of as forebears of the current Boston Celtics of the NBA. In reality, they share only a name, as today's Celtics were not founded until 1946, nearly 2 decades after the demise of the original Celtics. In 1922, the first all-African American professional team was founded, the Wrens, also known as New York Renaissance or Harlem Renaissance. The Wrens were the original Celtics' usual opponent, and for their matches a ticket cost $1. They took part in some official championships and won the first World Professional Basketball Tournament in 1939. The team disbanded in 1949. In the 1920s and 1930s, Eastern Basketball League, founded in 1909, Metropolitan Basketball League, founded in 1921, and American Basketball League, founded in 1925, were the most important leagues. Basketball in American colleges. Further information: college basketball. The greatest level of early basketball activity outside of YMCA's was seen in American colleges. The first known U.S. college to field a basketball team against an outside opponent was Vanderbilt University, which played against the local YMCA in Nashville, Tennessee, on February 7, 1893. The second recorded instance of an organized college basketball game was Geneva College's game against the New Brighton YMCA on April 8, 1893, in Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania, which Geneva won 3-0. The first recorded game between 2 college teams occurred on February 9, 1895, when Hamline University faced Minnesota A&M, which later became a part of the University of Minnesota. Minnesota A&M won the game, which was played under rules allowing 9 players per side, 9-3. The first intercollegiate match using the modern rule of 5 players per side is often credited as a game between the University of Chicago and the University of Iowa, in Iowa City, Iowa, on January 18, 1896. The Chicago team, which was organized by Amos Alonzo Stagg, who had learned the game from James Naismith at Springfield YMCA, won the game 15-12. Some sources state the first true 5-on-5 intercollegiate match was a game in 1897 between Yale and Penn, because the Iowa team, that played Chicago in 1896, was composed of University of Iowa students, but did not officially represent the University of Iowa, rather being organized through a YMCA. By 1900, the game of basketball had spread to colleges across the country. By 1897, the U.S. Amateur Athletic Union, AAU, had taken over oversight of basketball activity from YMCA. In April 1905, representatives of 15 colleges separately took over control of the college game, creating the Collegiate Basketball Rule Committee. The committee was in turn absorbed into the predecessor of the National Collegiate Athletic Association, NCAA, in 1909. The extremely popular NCAA men's basketball tournament was started in 1939. First International Games. After its arrival in Europe, basketball developed very quickly. In 1909, the first international match was held in St. Petersburg. Mayak St. Petersburg beat a YMCA American team. The first great European event was held in 1919 in Joinville-le-Pont, near Paris, during the Inter-Allied Games. United States, led by future Hall of Fame player Max Friedman, won against Italy and France, and then Italy beat France. Basketball soon became popular among French and Italians. The Italian team had a white shirt with the House of Savoy shield, and the players were Arrigo and Marco Maggiani, Baccarini, Giuseppe Sessa, Palestra, Piccolo, and Bagnoli. Formation of FIBA. World basketball was growing, but it was on June 18, 1932, that a real international organization was formed to coordinate tournaments and teams. That day, the following representatives of the 8 national federations: Attilio Panigio, Argentina; Simeon Mavroskoufis, Greece; Count Giorgio Asinari di San Marzano, Italy; Joseph Shadiko, Latvia; Henry Brandt, Portugal; Didi Tajka, Romania; Leon Buffard, Switzerland; and Ladislav Capuchin, Czechoslovakia, founded the International Basketball Federation, Fédération Internationale de Basketball Amateur, FIBA, in Geneva. Its work was fundamental for the first inclusion of basketball in the Berlin Olympic Games in 1936. The first Olympic title was won by the U.S. national team: Sam Bolter, Ralph Bishop, Joe Fortenberry, Tex Gibbons, Francis Johnson, Carl Knowles, Frank Lubin, Art Molnar, Donald Piper, Jack Ragland, Willard Schmidt, Carl Schei, Dwayne Swanson, Bill Wheatley, and the trainer James Needles. Canada was runner-up. The games were played on an outdoor clay court. The first World Championship was held in Argentina in 1950.